Exactly are what exactly is the main objective for today's session. Okay, so basically what exactly we had learned in yesterday's session, we had understood fundamentals, right? Okay, we had understood what exactly is API, what are the basics of API, what are the types of API, right? And what are the tools which we are going to use. Now from today onwards, we'll be starting up with our practicals, right? So basically the main objective for today's session will be to understand how we will be able to configure our environment. Okay, so this is the first thing. Second thing will be how we will be able to import the APIs. Okay, so these are the two things which we are going to learn in our today's session. So main thing is why exactly we require this type of configuration, right? As we had discussed yesterday, when it comes to APIs, right, APIs are used in the backend only, or APIs are built up to work in backend itself. Okay, so we will not be getting any kind of API which is having GUI. Okay, so basically at that point of time, normally the applications, something like web applications or mobile applications, okay, these are meant to become, or basically to see by the users, and basically they will be able to use these applications. But whenever APIs are integrated with them, what they will be doing is they will be able to execute those APIs in backend. Okay, and in the backend, APIs only will be working at that point of time. Okay, in front end, whatever we are going to see, it basically normally that is the part of web application or mobile application, but that is limited to front end itself. Whenever you are clicking on that button, and whenever you are typing the searches or search queries or anything you are doing on these applications, that application page will be executing the specific API call, and at the end, basically in the backend, the API will be working at that point of time, right? So this is how exactly it will be available. Now, yes, because APIs are meant for backend, our browsers, okay, which normally generates the request for web applications, will not be or basically will not be useful for us to generate the API call request as well. So what will happen is basically we will be able to import those APIs, and we will be able to use our third party tool, which will be or basically this tool will be able to execute that particular, prepare that API calls request, and then we will be intercepting at that point of time. Okay, so as our browsers are not working, or our browsers will not be able to generate that particular API's request, so basically that is why we will be going forward and we'll be using Postman, and then we will be sharing the same thing to Bubsuit to go forward and complete our testing purposes as well. So that is what we are going to see in today's session as a first phase. Okay, in the first phase we'll be understanding how to configure Postman with Bubsuit so that we can take up all of those specific requests. So because of that, actually yesterday I have told you guys that this is the place from where you will be able to get that particular tools. So the first tool is Postman tool, the second tool is Bubsuit. Okay, for what reason we are going to use Postman? Basically we will be using to execute the API calls. So API calls will be the request of API calls will be looking something like this one, where you will be getting the URLs, you will be getting the body or headers, the value of that particular request or headers, the value of parameters, all of those things. Whenever you are executing, normally it will be doing the similar kind of thing. The request will be shared it across with the server. Now whenever we are testing, our testing will be majorly focused on how exactly how exactly we can modify the request so that we can validate whether any kind of request or server is accepting any kind of malicious request or not, right? So because of that particular reason, we will send the request from Postman, we will intercept that request in our Bubsuit, and then we will try to modify the request. Okay, headers, parameters, value of headers, all of those kind of things. Postman not shown clearly. Okay, uh okay, let me check. So like, is it is the screen blurring out, or what exactly is the issue? Like what exactly you are facing? Okay, so like my screen is blurred, or it is lagging. Okay. Actually, Postman itself is having this kind of weird colors, so not sure uh, if I can change these colors, but there is no specific option where I can change colors. Let me see. Theme, black theme. Is it? Yeah, now is it good? Like now you are able to read this one. Okay, like is it for everyone? You guys are not able to see Postman clearly. Let me check if there are some another things. Normally two themes are only there. Zoom. Okay, sure, sure. So is it? Okay, yeah. Now is it good? Okay, sure. Let me zoom out a little bit. Now it is better, right? You guys are able to read this one, right? Yeah, yeah. Austin, you can tell. Now is it good? Oh, okay, sure, sure. Yeah, so so basically what Postman will be doing is Postman will be importing the list of API calls. Okay, that is the first thing, and then we will be sharing the same thing to Burp Suite itself. Okay, so this is how the flow will be going on. Now let us understand few of the functionalities down. Now what will happen is Postman is having loads and loads of functionalities, but all the functionalities are made for developers. The main functionality which we will be having is basically how to import the API calls and how to share the same thing with that particular pursuit. Okay, nothing else we are going to use within our Postman. So normally whenever we are getting some kind of request, normally the request will be looking something like this one, where we will be having the URL, we will be having the headers, the value of headers. Okay, we will be having the send. Okay, so whenever we are sending that request, normally that request will be shared it across with the server. So basically this is how we will be able to see the data within our Postman tool. Now Burp Suite, I think you guys will be knowing, this is the place where we will be having the proxy tab. In the repeater we'll be able to see the request and response. Okay, and basically at that point of time we will be able to modify those specific requests, whatever are the things which are coming up. Now the main thing is how exactly we can share the request from Postman to Burp Suite. Okay, so basically we need to configure that proxy from which we'll be able to share the request from Postman to Burp Suite. So that is what we are going to understand now. To go forward and forward that particular request, we'll be going to preferences. Either it will be preferences or settings. We'll be going to preferences, and there we will be having one option which is proxy. So normally in proxy we can configure where exactly we can share that particular request, or where exactly we can forward that request which is available within the Postman. So normally by default what will happen is it will be use system proxy. We just need to untick it, and we need to tick the second option which is add custom proxy configuration. So in custom proxy we will be selecting both of the things, which is HTTP and HTTPS, and we'll be giving the local host because we don't want to share that request outside of our system, but within our system where exactly Burpsuite can capture that request, we need to go forward and share that particular request, right? So we will be keeping the local host because we want to forward that request within our system itself, which is 127.0.0.1, and we can keep any of the port number which you are liking. So as this particular example, I am keeping 8081. Okay, so this is where we will be forwarding that request. So whenever I am clicking the send button, normally what will happen is this Postman will not be sending the request to the server, but where exactly it will be sending, it will be sending it localhost and the port number which is 8081. So this is the first thing. Second thing is whenever we are having the HTTPS request. Okay, so there will be some kind of keys and certificates which will be exchanged, which will be responsible for encrypting the request. Now definitely if our burp suite is not exactly knowing that what are the keys and certificates, it will not be able to show us those specific things as well, right? So for that, to make understand what exactly are the encrypted requests, we will be disabling that TLS and SSL checks from the postman side itself. So we will be going to general, and under SSL certificate verification, we will be keeping it as off. Why exactly we are keeping it as off? So that whenever burpsuite is getting that particular request, it will not be in an encrypted format, okay, and burpsuite will be able to show the full request which we are getting at that point of time. Okay, so these are the two things. First thing is forwarding the request to a specific place, right? Yeah, we will be doing. Okay, so basically two things we will be doing. The first thing will be, we'll be going to postman. Under preferences, we will be forwarding the request to a specific port number. So for that, we'll be going forward with proxy tab. Under settings, we'll be having proxy tab. In that, we'll be going forward and we will be clicking on add custom proxy configurations. We'll be enabling HTTP and HTTPS. We'll be sending all to the localhost, which is 127.0.0.1 and 8081. So what it will do, it will forward the request to this particular IP address and port number. This is the first thing. Now second thing is, burpsuite should be able to know, right? It should be able to check the encrypted request as well. Now what will happen is, whenever our application is using HTTPS, okay, so normally that request will be encrypted and then it will be shared it across whenever it in the network. So what will happen is, if we are sharing that particular request to the burpsuite, normally burpsuite will not be able to understand the request and we will not be able to get the request in a plain format where we can read the contents of the request. So at that point of time, basically to share, or basically to get the HTTPS request as well in a clear format or plain text, we will be disabling the SSL validation check. So here what will happen is, SSL certificate verification, normally by default it will be coming something like this on, right? We will be disabling it so that whatever are the things which are shared from postman, okay, to burpsuite will not be in an encrypted format. So it will be in an unencrypted format, and normally burpsuite will be able to read that request in a plain text and we will be able to modify the request as well. So these are the two things which will be able to, which we need to do from our postman side. Any doubts till now? Anyone? Okay, so now you guys do not need to do any of the configurations within your system. Okay, everything is documented, and the documentation I will be sharing it with you guys. Okay, so basically I have attached the screenshots and all of those things. Let me just show it to you. Okay, so basically just now understand what exactly are the things, and after that later point of time you can just take the reference of that document, okay, and you can go forward and you can do those things. Okay, so something like here, basically, yeah, open burpsuite tool and you will be getting this particular things, right? All of those things are already available in the document, and the documents I will be sharing after the sessions as well. Okay, so everything with screenshot is available, so don't worry about that one. Okay, so same things are there. So likewise, so the first thing is, basically we will be configuring from the postman side, right? So what exactly we had done in postman, we had asked postman that whatever request we are sharing, okay, that request should be going to this particular place, right? So whenever we are executing any kind of request, it will be forwarding that request to this particular IP address and port number. Now next thing is, burpsuite should be listening to that particular port number so that it will be able to fetch that request and it will be able to go forward and take that particular request, right? So for that, now the next configuration will be from burpsuite side, that basically from burpsuite it will be able to fetch that request, it will be able to listen to that particular port number. So any of the request is coming up, it will be able to fetch and it will be able to show the same thing to us, right? So for that we will be configuring, the second part will be, we'll be configuring as a part of burp suite. So in burp suite we'll be having the proxy tab. Under proxy we'll be having options. Okay, so in options we'll be having proxy listeners, which will be responsible for the same thing, listening to the request at one particular IP address and port number. By default we'll be having 127.0.0.1 colon 8080. Normally we are using for Firefox or any of the browser from which we are taking up that request. Here we need to take the request from Postman as well, which is configured at this particular port number, which is 8081. So we are going to add the same thing there as well. We'll be going to add, we will be going forward with loopback only. So normally local host or loopback only are same thing. Basically it is for the local host, which is 127.0.0.1. And we will be entering the port number which we have configured in Postman. So I have configured 8081, so same port number I am entering here as well. We will click on OK, and you can see our burp suite is listening to both of the ports. Now what will happen is, whenever I am making my intercept as on, whatever request is getting shared from the Postman, the same request will be coming up here as well. So for example, this is one of the requests. I will send that request. So here you can see request has been sent. If we go to burp suite, here you can see the request has been captured. How exactly we can know that this request is coming from Postman? Because in user agent header the Postman will be available. So basically we can understand that this request is coming from Postman tool itself. Okay, so basically this is how we will be configuring our Postman tool with burp suite. Any doubts, any queries till now? Anyone? Correct. 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 Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Correct. 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 Exactly. Yes. So actually, I think you have shared your updated link with Atul as well, right? I think he has gotten it, right? No issues, no issues. So I just wanted to check if he has gotten or not. So okay. Issues. Yes, 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 Austin. Yes, Austin. In which one? Burp suite or Postman? Where exactly you? Burp suite. Okay, let me check. Actually, I haven't seen that particular option, but let me check if those kind of options are available or not. Okay, services, configuration library. So actually now not sure if that particular option is available or not, but what if you are facing this thing, right, what you can do is you can just increase the font of Google Meet. Okay, so there are two options. First thing is you can close this one, you can pin this window, what I'm sharing, that you can pin this window. By default the screen will be bigger, so at that point of time you will be able to see it. So you are not joined via mobile, right? You are joined via laptop itself, right? Okay, okay, so you can just close this window, you can pin my screen. So at that point of time you will be able to the size of the screen will be much more bigger, and you will be able to see that more clearly. But again, like, I will check if that type of option is there in burp suite. Currently I'm not able to see. Sure, 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 sure. If it is available, right, definitely I will increase the fonts, and we will be able to see it much more clearly. Okay, so yeah, these are the two steps. Any doubts, any queries till now, guys? Anyone? No? Okay. So now the next thing is, so basically I have shown you guys that how exactly we can get the API request in Burp Suite, right? That is correct. But how exactly we will be able to get the APIs in Postman? That is the main question, right? So basically whenever we are doing some kind of web application penetration testing, what we used to do is we used to load a URL and we are good to go, right? But when it comes to APIs are not that much easy to configure. What we need is basically there will be the list of API calls that we need to load it in Postman, and then we will be able to get that particular list. Okay, so how exactly we can import the APIs which are shared by our clients? So that is what we are going to learn in next stage. Okay, so basically whenever we want to whenever we are starting up with any projects, okay, so basically the first thing will be we can take up any kind of our client, and normally client what exactly they will be doing is they will be sharing us the list of API calls. How exactly they can share? There are 4 ways from which they will be able to share that particular list of API calls. The first one is collection files, second is collection folders, next one is using web services, something like WADL or WSDL. Next one is from the raw text, and last one is from request and response. So these are the 5 ways from which we can take up the list of API calls to our Postman. Okay, so basically whenever our browser is not working, normally basically what will happen is this is the ways from which our Postman will be able to import those API calls, and then we will be able to share the same thing to Burp Suite as well. So for what exactly is collection files? Normally whenever we are seeing the request of any kind of web application request or API request, right? Normally what are the things which are available in request or response? Basically there will be URLs, okay, there will be some kind of headers, there will be value of headers, there will be parameters, there will be value of parameters, right? All of those specific things will be there. Now is the same thing for all API calls. If it is written in one particular file, then it is called collection files. How exactly collection files will be looking like? Normally, let us see how exactly collection files will be looking. So either it will be a JSON file or it will be an XML file. Basically whenever we are opening it, it will be looking something like this one. So basically if I show you, normally here you can see this is the URL, or this is the name of that particular file, this is the URL, then the method of that particular request is available, headers if there are any, body, and in which parameters and value of parameters, all of those things are there. So what exactly it is? Normally it is the request only, but it is basically in a file format. Now definitely we can understand the request and understand what exactly are the parameters of it. But if we are seeing these and if we are manually generating the API call request, definitely it will be hard for us, right? So what we need to do is whenever our client is sharing this type of file, so in this list of all the API calls, if there are 10 API calls, if there are 15 API calls, all the things will be mentioned in this particular file itself, that all the URLs of the API calls, all the headers, parameters, value of headers, everything will be available here. Okay, methods, everything. So what exactly we are going to do is we will be importing this particular file, JSON file or XML file, into Postman, and it will be able to create the request of API calls which we will be forwarding to Burp Suite. So for example, this is my JSON file, this is the file which my client has shared. What I will do is I will go to my Postman tool. So this is the Postman tool, and for time being I'm just deleting all my previous APIs which are available from my clients. I will just delete it, and okay, so here there will be one option called import. Okay, we will be just clicking on import, and there will be the first thing which is file. We will click on that upload files, and we will just upload that file. So in my system it is in desktop, and this is the JSON file which is available. I will click on it, I will open it, and I will import it. So here you can see collection imported. So if we go forward and if we see, so this is my API call, and I will be able to send that API call, and again I will be able to intercept via my browser itself, via Burp Suite itself. Later point of time I can test that particular API call with Burp Suite. Okay, so this is how we are going to go forward and import it. Okay, so basically let me show it to you once more. What exactly are collection files? It is nothing but the file which will be having all that particular things, something like it will be having the URLs, parameters, all those specific things for all the API calls which are under scope. Whenever we want to import it, we will click on import. Under file, we will be uploading that file. We will click on that collection file, we will click on open, we will click on import, it will get imported, and we can directly share the same thing to Burp Suite as well. Okay, so this is the first way from which we will be able to get that particular request, and we will be able to start our testing as well. After that we can share it to repeater, and later point of time we'll be able to see the request and response at that point of time. Now many times, okay, client might not be able to share the collection files. Okay, or basically there might be situation where you are having multiple projects. For example, you are having one of the bigger client who are having almost 10 to 15 projects, right? So per project there will be one file. Now if there are 15 files, definitely if you are uploading them one by one, it will be a hard work for us, right? So at that point of time, the second thing will be collection folders. So a folder which are having multiple collection files, okay, that folder your client will be sharing it with you, and we can upload full folder in our Postman tool, and it will be able to import all the collection files at once. Okay, so that is what we will be having at that point of time. So how exactly we can do it? We'll be going to import. There will be the second option which is folder. We can directly upload any kind of folder at that point of time, but the main thing is that folder should not be having other type of files other than collection files. Something like it should not be having PDF or docs or images or those kind of things, because it might throw some kind of error in your Postman. Okay, so that folder should be having the list of collection files itself. We will click on folder, we will choose that folder. So I will just choose that particular folder. Whatever are the API calls which are available in the folder, it will directly able to understand the same thing, and we will be able to import all of those things. So at that point of time, here you can see the collection has been imported, and we are able to get that particular list as well. Okay, so many times if you are having multiple projects and multiple collection files, we will be able to directly upload the folders, directly import the folders within our Postman tool, and we will be able to share the same thing to Burp Suite as well. Now next thing is with the web services, WADL and WSDL. What exactly are these things? These things are nothing but all of these details, instead of that file, they are hosting in one particular URL. Okay, so basically there is one URL. So whenever there is WADL, normally WADL is for REST APIs, and WSDL is for SOAP APIs. What exactly will be the contents in this particular URLs? Nothing but the same things: URLs, headers, values of headers, parameters, value of parameters, all of those things. And at that point of time, we will be able to import the same thing itself with the use of that URL. We don't need any kind of physical file at that point of time. Let me show how exactly WADL and WSDL URLs will be looking like. So basically, this is from the IBM, right? IBM.com. And if I show last thing, here you can see it is application.wadl, right? So this is WADL file. This is a URL, nothing, this is just a URL itself. Now what will happen? What exactly are the things which are included in that particular URL? Nothing but that particular same things itself: method name, the URLs, okay, the request, headers, request headers, response headers, okay, what exactly are the parameters, parameter headers, everything. So if they are not having, yes, so, yes, yeah, from, okay, zoom in, yeah, 1 minute, yep, now it is good. Okay, okay, sure. So I will keep it this particular size itself, so that everyone will not face any challenges. Okay. So what will happen is, when it comes to that particular WADL, okay, again it is for REST APIs, and at that point of time, what are the contents which will be available in that URL? The same thing. What exactly are the parameters, the URLs, the headers value, okay, the parameter value, same thing only, but it will be hosted in one particular URL. Okay, and what client will be sharing is, they will be just sharing that URL, which we can import, which we can use our tools to import the API calls from. Okay, so in this URL there are multiple API calls which are available, the request of multiple API calls which are available, we just need to import from that particular place. So what exactly we are going to do, we will copy this particular URL, which is, you can see, application.wadl, right, same thing which is hosted here. We will copy that URL, we will go to import, we will go to link. So in link we'll be having that particular place where we can enter URL. So here you can see, this is the full URL. Okay, and at last we are having WADL file. We will click on continue, and once we are clicking on continue, it will be able to understand all those specific API calls. We'll be able to import it, and here you can see converted from WADL, and there are loads and loads of APIs from IBM. You can see there are loads and loads of APIs, right? So all of these APIs we can test it at that point of time. So basically here, if we are having that request, I can turn on my intercept, I can send that request, and we are good to go, right? We'll be able to intercept all those specific requests, and we will be able to go forward and get that request in our burp suite as well. Correct. So this is the second way, right? This is the third way from which we will be able to import the API calls. Whenever we are facing any kind of bug bounty programs or clients, the very common way is collection file itself. Okay, they might be able to share you collection files, and basically will be able to import as well. But in case if this is not happening, normally they will be able to host it in WDL or WSDL, and we will be able to go forward and import from that particular place as well. Now we have seen for the REST APIs, whenever there is a SOAP API, it will be hosted in WSDL file. Let us go forward and see how exactly we can do the same, like how exactly we will be able to import that one as well. So we are having one of the other URL, which is here. This is the one. If you see at last, it is WSDL. If we are going forward and seeing what exactly are the contents, similar kind of contents will be there. So basically the URL, headers, value of headers, parameters, value of parameters of all the API calls will be available here. Now from this particular web service, we just need to import that particular request API calls. What we are going to do is, for WSDL, we are having an add-on in burp suite, which will be making our work much more easier. Okay, there we will not be requiring any kind of interruption from Postman. We can directly import WSDL URLs itself. So what will happen is, basically, if we go to project options, under project option, extender, under extender in BF store, there is one particular add-on which is WSDL-ER. What exactly it will do? It will take that particular API call, and it will convert, or it will fetch all the API calls, okay, from that particular web service, and it will be showing the same thing to us. So in my case, I have installed it, but in your case, you can just click on install button, and we are good to go. you will be able to get an extra tab here. What will happen is, let me just remove this one. So here we are, you can see we are having the clear screen. Now I will just intercept that WADL request or WSDL request itself. So here you can see I am having the WSDL. I can right click on it. You can go to extensions, WSDL, and parse WSDL. What will happen is, instead of Postman tool, normally it will directly take up all those particular API calls, and from here itself we can start the testing as well. But one thing is, it is just remitted to WSDL files, except that everything we need to do in Postman tool itself. Okay, so basically here you can see all the list of API calls are there. I can directly send the same request to repeater, and we can share and we can get the response as well. Okay, so this is the third method. Let us before going forward, let us revise it. Okay, and then we will go forward to our next things as well. First one is collection files, where your client will be sharing you the files, and in that particular file, normally same thing, either JSON or XML file will be there, and in that the URLs, headers, values, and everything will be available. What you can do is, you can just go ahead and import it. Once you are importing, you can share the same thing to the browser, Burp Suite itself. Second thing will be collection folders. Normally if you are having multiple collection files, you can directly upload the folder and we are good to go. Next thing is, in case if this is not working, they will be sharing us WATS or WSDL URL, where we can update, or where we can import from our Postman or directly from Burp Suite itself. We can just click on import. Under link, we can paste that link, and from that link Postman will be able to fetch list of all the API calls, and we are good to go. We'll be able to share the same thing to Burp Suite. In case if it is WSDL, again our work will be much more simpler. We can directly go forward and intercept that URL from here itself. We can right click on it, and at that point of time, Burp Suite itself will be able to fetch those specific API calls. Okay, so these are the three methods. Normally these are the very common methods which you will be able to see from your client or bug bounty program. But there are two more methods in case if this methods does not work. Okay, your client is not able to share, or sometimes you are getting some kind of error. What will happen is, there are other two methods from which you will be able to again import the API calls. This next one is raw text. Normally it will be curl commands. Okay, what will happen is, your client will be sharing you the list of that API request in a format of commands, and that commands you can import it in your Postman tool. How exactly it will be looking like? Let me show you the same thing. So here we are having one of the curl text which will be shared by you to your clients. So basically here you can see it will be starting up with curl, then it will be having the headers, -h will be headers. You will be having the list of headers, something like accept an application /JSON, and list of headers will be there. -x, and then methods will be there, -d, and parameters will be there. So here I am having parameter, which is email, and the value of parameter. Okay, and likewise -u, and then the URL will be there. So the same methods, but in a format of command. Okay, curl command. What exactly we are going to do with this one? So we will be able to copy this command, and we'll be able to import it with our Postman tool itself. I will copy it. We will go to import. We will go to fourth option, which is raw text. We will paste that curl command. We will click on continue. We will click on import. So here you can see all that particular the headers, value, URL, everything is imported in this particular Postman tool, and we will be able to directly share the same thing to Burp Suite as well. Let me share as the same thing and show the request as well. So basically if I'm going forward, so here you can see in the request it is customer ID and this one, right? If I go forward and compare, so here you can see customer ID is this one, and the same thing. So this particular command is going forward, and it has built up in the request format. and we are good to go. We will be able to test it. So here you can see email abc@def.com. So same thing was available in the command as well, right? So basically it is doing nothing but it is converting this particular command into a format of request, and we will be able to test the same thing. Okay, so this is the fourth method. How exactly we are going to do it? We'll be able to go to import raw text. We'll be pasting that command. Uh-huh. Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Tell me. Correct. 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 So same thing. Correct, correct. So that is a good question. Normally, what will happen is whenever there is authentication which is required, and if you are having call command, what will happen is in that request itself. So normally, whenever there is this particular API calls, okay, we are not going to physically go through that GUI and enter our user ID and credentials, right? So API authentication will be done by API keys or tokens, right? So within this particular list itself, okay, basically within this particular request itself, what you will be getting is in this parameters itself, you will be getting one more parameter or one more header itself. Okay, here API authentication can be done via parameters or headers. So you'll be getting something like token, and then there will be the sample token which will be available, or default token which will be available, or you can enter whatever token is given to you by your clients. You can just replace it here in that particular parameter, and you are good to go. Okay, so whenever there is authentication which is required, basically there will be a specific header or a specific parameter which will be responsible for that authentication. And basically what we will be able to do is we'll be able to replace the token to that parameter or header, and basically we will be able to get authenticate and get the proper request as well. Okay, likewise. Correct, correct. So normally his question was that in case if that command or if that API is asking for authentication, how exactly we will be able to do so. So at that point of time, how exactly we'll be able to authenticate ourselves and get that particular response, proper response, right? So that is the same. So that is what I have explained. Whenever there is API authentication, it will be done via API key or API token itself. And whenever we are getting this kind of request or response, there will be a parameter or header which will be responsible for authentication. Something like here there will be token or something like that. And in that, if your client has shared a separate token, normally we will be able to place or replace that token to that parameter, or by default only they will be giving with the token itself the full request. You can directly import it and you are good to go. Okay, so likewise, so whenever we are having authentication in API calls, we will not be manually entering our user ID and password, right? Because mostly APIs will not be having any kind of GUI. So basically within this API calls itself, you will be having a parameter or a specific header where we will be able to use that API token or API key, and we will be able to get authenticated with that particular request. Okay. So now it is clear, right, for everyone? It is clear. Okay. Question? Yes. Okay. Okay. Where is user option? Okay, user options. Then okay, inside pub window user options. Okay, display font size, let me make it as 20. Okay, yeah, great, great, Yogesh. So Austin is happy now. Okay, okay, sure. So yeah, So yeah, basically this is the main thing. Now tomorrow again, our tomorrow's session will be fully on how to get that API tokens and API keys, right? There we will be having a very in-depth discussion on how exactly we'll be able to generate API tokens and API keys, and you will be able to understand that particular thing more in depth. Okay, but the main overall thing is, whenever you are getting the request, basically you will be able to get the specific header or parameter in that API call request itself, where you will be able to authenticate it yourself. Okay, same thing. Now the last thing is, in case if everything does not work, okay, if your client is not able to share you collection files, folders, URLs or raw text, the last option is they will directly share you the request and response of API calls. How exactly it will be looking like? Normally it will be looking something like this. Let me open it in Sublime. So basically it will be looking like this, where they will be directly sharing the full request itself. Okay, how we are seeing in Burp Suite, the same thing they will be sharing it with us, right? What we need to do is, we can just go forward and copy that request. We can go to repeater and we can paste it. So I can paste it here. Okay, and we will be able to share that particular request as well. Okay, so same thing. Normally, in case if they are not able to get any of those specific details, we can just go, they will be directly sharing you that particular request and response, and we are good to go. We will be able to directly paste that request and response, we'll be able to share it, and we will be able to go forward and start our testing. Okay, so these are the 5 methods. Any doubts, any queries in any one of them? Any of them? No, we don't need Postman. We will directly be able to paste it in Burp Suite. Yes. Any doubts? Any queries? Anyone? No. Rajib, Yogesh, Jean, Austin. Burp Suite. Yeah. This one. Okay, I definitely will be able to see, right? You can ask if, like, if you guys are facing any challenges in this one to see this particular request. Mhm. But it is expanding this user menus. I think this will. Okay, user options, user interface. uh yeah, 20 done. Okay, let me show it to you in repeater. Okay, now it is good, right? Okay, sure. Yeah, so any doubts, any queries till now? Anyone? From option 1 to 3, like in request itself. So in request itself, what will happen is, basically here, whenever you are taking that request, right? Okay, so here you will be having one particular header, something like authorization header, right? And here you will be having the empty authorization or something like normal string. So basically, whenever you are taking that request, right, after that you just need to replace your token which your client has given you for testing in that particular header or parameter. So something like here you can see this we have taken as a part of request and response, right? And here you can see there is one parameter which is API key, and they have given it as a normal string. What you will be able to do is, you will be able to just replace here what, for example, my client has given me this particular key. So you'll be able to enter that key and you will be able to share the same thing, same the request, and your authentication is done. Okay, same, this type of way. So request will be having that type of parameter, something like API key or authorization header, which will be responsible for your basically your authentication authorization, and the client will be sharing you that key, and we are good to go. We'll be able to execute that request, and we'll be able to process it as well. Okay. Mm-hmm. Correct. Mm-hmm. Correct. Correct. So same thing. Correct. Exactly. So same thing in bug bounty programs also. In their page, they will be mentioning that for bug bounty, you can use this particular key for testing. Okay, so that key we will be replacing it here, and we will be able to get authenticated response as well, and we'll be able to test it as well. Same thing goes for clients as well. So whenever you guys will be having some clients, normally client will be sharing that API key or API token. We can just replace it within our request, and we are good to go. Okay. Yes. So any other doubts, queries, from anyone? Okay. So now what exactly will be our next thing? What we had learned till now, we had understood what exactly is API, what are the types of API, those things. In today's session, we had understood how to configure it. So how we will be able to forward the request from Postman to Burpsuite, and how we will be able to import those specific API calls, right? So those specific things we had learned. The next thing is, still we will not be able to start our penetration testing, because majorly whenever we are importing those API calls, normally what will be happening is we'll be able to import, but this type of field, which is a key field or token field, okay, we will require from that particular place. So until and unless we are not having that particular API key and token, normally we will not be able to, our server will not be able to give us a proper response, and we will not be able to proceed with our testing. So in tomorrow's session, we will be understanding how we will be able to review the documentation, okay, and from documentation, how we will be able to take the API calls, okay, and then how we will be able to generate or use those API keys, and how we will be able to start up with our testing. Okay, so this is what we are going to learn in tomorrow's session. But before that, we will be having one of the assignment thing. So basically I will be sharing you guys all of those specific things, okay, the collection files, collection folders, URLs, raw text, and request and response. You guys have to do it in your system, okay, in Burpsuite and Postman tool, and basically whatever are the response which is coming up, right, you can just share the screenshot with me in personal chat, okay, or you can prepare add the screenshots in a document, and you can share that document with me. Okay, so that will be the assignment for you guys for today's session. Okay, so any doubts, any queries till now, anyone?